Hey gang, what's up? Welcome back here to another edition of The Fishing Teacher. And man, I really appreciate you guys watching today's video. Got a good one for you today. We're going to be talking about the most consistent way that you can catch big bass month after month and why some people simply catch more big fish than other people. And there's nothing funner than catching a big old bass. So I'm going to give you guys some tips and advice on how you can improve your odds with that. And before we get started, guys, one of the things I'd like to invite everybody, if you haven't had a chance to subscribe to The Fishing Teacher, I'd like to invite you to do so. And also, one of the best ways you can help the channel out here is get you one of our Fish the Moment lake map breakdowns or book a virtual lesson with us. That's a really good resource to learn more about your favorite lake or anything you want to learn about fishing. And I'll put the link in the description. So much appreciated. Okay, guys, why do some people catch more big fish than others? I have asked myself this all the time. And I've got some pretty good advice for you guys because over the course of the year, I think I won Bassmaster used to have a daily big bass award. I think they still do, but back when I fished the top 100s and the top 150s, I won the daily big bass award in 9 different tournaments to catching the biggest bass of the tournament, and sometimes either the biggest bass of the day or biggest bass of the tournament. And some things that I learned about consistently catching big ones I want to pass along to you guys here in today's video. Now, there's a couple different things that will allow you to actively catch bigger fish on a consistent basis, because for most people, I think when they catch a big one, it's just random. It's just like they happen to put it in front of one once in a rare moon, and they catch a big fish once in a while just while they're fishing for whatever they can catch. But you're never going to consistently catch big fish if you don't fish for big fish, if you don't target them. And I talk a lot about on the other channel, my mentor is an angler named Terry Thomas. And Terry always taught me years ago, he said, Randy, you need to constantly be thinking about what the big fish want, what the big fish are doing and what they want. And I've sort of taken that, advice pretty seriously. So here's what I have found out, some things you can do to increase your odds to catch bigger ones. Number one, you've got to fish the type of area in the body of water you're fishing that holds bigger fish. Now, big fish is relative because if you guys are fishing in Texas and California, excuse me, a big fish is over 10 pounds. But if you're fishing like up here in my part of the country, up here in Missouri, a big fish is 5 pounds is a big one. Five or 6 pounds wins big fish of the day most of the time in Missouri. And some places are even less than that. So it's all relative to the body of water you're fishing. But regardless, every body of water has certain areas that have a higher percentage of big bass living in them. So here's some things that you need to look for as far as the areas that you pick if you want to target bigger fish. There's 2 main things to concentrate on. Number one is the water or whatever you're fishing has to have some type of access close to deep water. Now, I don't mean you can turn around and touch your rod behind the boat and you're in deep water, but that deep water needs to be relatively close, like within say 50 to 100 yards of where you're fishing. There's got to be some deep water relative to the lake. Now, the deep water can, if in Florida, 8 or 10 foot can be deep, and here in my part of the country, 50 or 60 foot can be deep. But concentrate on those areas close to deeper water. And most of the time, these are going to be on points. They're going to be around steeper banks. They're going to be on ledges. That's the type of area that's closer to deep water. The second thing with that, and sometimes they go hand in hand and sometimes they don't, you have to fish the type of cover that holds big fish. And usually the type of cover that holds big fish is a little bit more complex, thicker cover that gives the fish more ambush points. So say for example, a boat dock. A boat dock is a prime place to catch big fish because it provides a lot of cover. It provides shade for the fish all day long. It's got a lot of different dock structures, wood and concrete that the fish can get around. A lot of times people put brush around them. There's a lot of options for a fish to be around a dock. It's the same thing next to like a lay down tree. If you've got a big tree that has fell in the water from a storm, it's got a bunch of different, gnarly limb systems on it. That's a great place for a big fish because they can hide in there and there's a lot of different ambush points on them. And these areas become even better for big fish if they're close to some type of deep water. So that's the 2 things you have to remember right off the bat is target cover, the thickest, gnarliest cover in your lake, whatever that is, and that cover needs to be next to deeper water. Now, That just depends. Some lakes don't have much cover on them. Some lakes have just a lot of rocky banks. Some lakes have a lot of thick cover. So it's all relative to that. But remember, those are the two things. In combination with that, the next thing you have to do is you have to fish those lure categories that tend to produce big fish more consistently. So say, for example, if you fish a drop shot or a Ned rig or something like that, you're not going to catch big bass consistently on it unless you're fishing for smallmouth up in the Great Lakes or somewhere. The smaller profile lures are not going to consistently catch fish. If you're going to catch big ones, you've got to fish a handful of the lure categories that target and trigger bigger fish to hit. And that is a full-size jig, a big spinnerbait, a chatterbait, a glide bait, a big swim bait, any of your larger baits. In my opinion, if you're going to consistently catch big ones, the bait that you're using, the lure that you're using, needs to be, anywhere between, say 4 inches long up to 8 inches long. That's going to get you a lot more big fish, especially if the lure has a bulky profile. It could be like a big square bill crankbait, like a large size square bill crankbait. It could be a chatterbait or spinnerbait with a big trailer on it. It could be a big full size jig with a big, chunk on it. Something larger. It's going to reduce the number of strikes you get, but your odds of catching a big one are going to go up all the time. So anyway, guys, that's so if you just, look over that again, 3 things to remember: fish big baits for big fish, fish areas close to deep water, and fish the heaviest cover you can in the lake you're fishing. And if you target that and if you focus on that, and I'm not talking about live scoping out here, I'm talking about just traditional fishing. If you stay in that type of mindset, your consistency in catching quality fish is going to go way up. So hope it helps out. We'll see you guys.